afternoon, ladies. I think now we can start our talk. It's already 1:05. I want to introduce Rita to us. She's our guest speaker for the day. And I would like to welcome each and every one of you. And just for housekeeping, if you have any questions in the middle of the talk, you can write it on the chat. Then we can discuss at the end of the talk. So we are here because today is International Women's Day. We are here to celebrate ourselves, the girl child.
Yay!
The
Yay!
International
Allow
Women's
us
Day
to
was started
celebrate
by
that,
UN.
Mine.
People are not celebrating. Unmute
No, it's
yourselves
just
and celebrate.
awesome. Yes.
Yeah, so it's a very special day for us as women in general. You know, some days are discriminatory, like the Mother's Day. We are not mothers, so sometimes you feel hey, this one is not for me. But today, you better own this day because it's for us. It's for us as women and the girl child. It was started by UN for us just to eliminate the discrimination against women. So the 8th March was set in 1913. So you can see how far it has come. And it's very, very good for us to celebrate it as the first one in SBC, in Springboard Capital. So I'm very, very happy to be here today. And I'd like to welcome Rita to be with us. I'll just give you a small introduction about her. This one is dynamite, if I may say so. She has excelled in so many fields. Yani, it's the women you look up to. If it is motherhood, if it is family, if it is work, if it is education, yani, she's just uko tops. So just a small introduction. She's the CEO and founding director of IOSHEM. I hope I'm pronouncing it well. Yes. So that is in short, IOSHEM Africa. Before they were being called Institute of Safety, Health and Environmental Management. So as you can see, the name suggests they are majorly environmental and safety and health experts. So she's a woman in leadership. She's experienced. She's an experienced manager and director. She thrives in innovation, service delivery, client management, and relationship building for their customers. She brings in a wealth of knowledge to the table, including being a consultant and a trainer for so many years, and she has won many, many awards for the same. Her CV is very long and wide, so if I was to say it today, we would not finish. And she also, in education, she has 2 masters. She has 2 masters. Basically, she's done MBA, so and plus a master in safety and health and in environment. She also holds several directorships in over 6 organizations, and she's the current president for Rotary Club, Karengata division. So in short, I would just want to give her that flowery one for now. I'm sure when she's talking to us, you will get to know why we decided to talk with Rita, so that she can at least empower us as girls club. Rita, we have a girls club at SBC. So we would like us to be holistic, spiritually, career-wise, mentally, education-wise. So we wanted someone who can actually mentor us and someone we can look up to and someone we can actually refer to and say, if this one has made it, then we can all make it. So karibu sana to Springboard Capital. As I told you, it's a microfinance with lending options only. So just talk to us as your girls and we welcome you for now. Then girls, if you have any question, please type them on the chat. At the end of it all, we may also have time to just unmute and talk if we still have time, but we'll deal with the questions as they come in because she may talk and then you remember something, just type it out. Thank you very much and karibu sana Rita.
Thank you. And thank you so much. And happy International Women's Day. I hope you're all happy. And thank you so much, Caroline, for, the first contact. And, the first time I was told, can you do a talk? I said, am I the best placed to do this? And I said, you know what? I give my story. We see whether it's something that can impact on somebody else. And thank you, Mine, for the organization. Anastasia, we spoke. Just thank you guys for having faith, that I will add some value to your organization. So I know, Mina, you say it's a rosy CV, but you know, it's the same thing. I read somebody else's, and I'm like, oh, when did they do all that? Where was I? You know. But thank you so much. And apart from everything else that have been said, I think at the end of the day, I'm a woman, and we face the same challenges, but I guess different magnitudes depending on where you are. So in terms of who I am, I think Mina has kind of touched, first of all, and you will realize that as women, we tend to lose our identity as we go along. So first and foremost, I'm Rita Wairimo, initially Mbogo, and now Ndonye. So we must not forget where we came from. Been married now, this is our 21st year. And yes, got married 1st of January 2000. So there's no way one Mr. Ndonya can forget that. So 1st of January 2000, the year 2000. So 21 years this year. We have 3 children, 18, turning 17, and just turned 10. So I think I should be on the bracket of retirees, but I'm still rearing to go. Anyway, so yeah, so that's me. Born in Nyeri, but basically been in Nairobi for a while. So I think at the end of the day, we are asking, what is all this about being a woman? One, can you succeed? What's the work-life balance? Does it exist? And I said what I'll do is just share my story so that you also understand and see, can it work? First, I think disclaimer is that it's never a smooth road, but it shouldn't be a tough road either. It's not a smooth road, but it's not as tough as we possibly perceive it. So my journey began, I was the last group of A-levels. So I'm that old clique. Okay. So we did the last group of A-levels and did my A-levels, didn't make it into campus. But then I decided to, you know,
thank you.
Yeah, somebody's talking there. So my father then, and it's that generation of the parents in their 80s, was like, okay, so you didn't make it to your choice of university. 2 choices, you either become a teacher or a secretary. Okay, now in those days, none of those was looking very rosy. So, you know, I was like, no way, there's no way I'm becoming a teacher. I chose the easier way out and I said, I want to do secretarial. Said, okay, I'll look for a college. And I joined Kianda. I don't know how many of us here know Kianda. Caroline, I don't know this age group, but some of those names could be quite, you know, archaic. So I joined Kianda. Kianda was actually the best then. And that was in 1992, did my 2 years diploma, secretarial and admin. And my first job started as a secretary. And of course, then having come from Kianda, which was the top secretarial college, you want to go to a very good job. And we all knew we didn't want to be typists. Ideally, we were typists by that time because we actually found typewriters. I don't know how many of us here have seen typewriters, but we did find typewriters. And then we transited in what they call MS-DOS, and then all these other things started following, you know, the pace. Then my first job was in Naivasha, so I took the leap, and I remember looking at my mom and wondering, you've actually allowed me to leave you. So my first job was in a flower farm. It's called Oserian Flowers, and I was there for 2.5 years. But I think the ambition in me kept me going because by the time I was done with 2 years, I wanted to move on. And I applied and I did a long distance. Then KIM, the Kenya Institute of Management, used to have these courses that you do actually online. So I bought materials and I started learning online and I started my diploma in admin from KIM. And thereafter, I applied for a job and got a job at BOC in Nairobi industrial area, so BOC Kenya. And BOC Kenya was my first job in the city, industrial area. So landed there, secretary. Over the years, I thought, okay, there is more to life than being a secretary. As a secretary, 92 to about, 92, then I moved 95 to Nairobi. And towards 1998, I decided enough. I need to move out of being a secretary. By then I was a PA to the MD and I started doing all these courses, also ambitious. I started doing courses and I enrolled in USIU. In USIU, I did my first degree. self-sponsored, and I did my first degree in international business administration. With an option in marketing. So that was my first proper degree. And I was feeling, okay, I'm getting there. Finally, I'd look at all these managers with their parks, they're driving, and I'm like, oh no, I've got to get there. So courtesy of having been the PA, of course, I had some benefits, and I managed to also buy my first car about that time, 1998. And I'll drive myself to Thika Road, do, my courses, come back at night. And I remember, as usual, for those who are married, take heart, my dad would ask me, are you serious? You're almost hitting 30. What's happening? You know how the drill goes. Anyway, I did my undergraduate, finished, and immediately I decided, you know what? I'm going to do my master's. That's how I transited into master's. But there was a good side to it. Finally, I met the man about 1998, and in 2000, then we got married. So by then, I'm not so sure, how old you think I was by then, but I got married at 29, okay, in 2000. So there's a lot of hope. If that's the destination, if that's your destination, it's not everybody's destination. And I got married, and we got our firstborn son when I was about 31. But I was soon getting tired. I'm one of those that I think how they tell kids that they are short span concentration. I think that's me, because after some time I was like, okay, I'm done with the MBA. So I continued, did my MBA, was able to do it in a year. My undergraduate, I did it in 3 years. It was marathon. I don't know why, but I just needed to get it off my back. Then because I did it in the same institution, USIU, then I got a exemption in many of my courses. So I was able to do my MBA within 1 year. Now, I remember my boss then, and he was the financial manager at BOC, asking me, Rita, your friends are partying. What are you doing going all the way from industrial area to Thika Road? To go and do something in the evening, you come back late, you're here at work. I was in school, I think, the whole week, and Saturday morning as well. But it paid off, because my undergraduate and my MBA took me 4 years, but it took a longer while to clear my thesis and everything, because then the baby started coming in. So I finished my course, my MBA, the coursework, but I only graduated in 2006. I mean, that was traumatic, because then I had to keep rescheduling my meetings. I had to keep redoing my topics and etc. But motherhood came. But that didn't stop me from finishing my MBA. I was very, very keen on that. But why was I doing this? I realized I started from a secretary, and to grow and be able to fit in the shoes of where I wanted to be, I needed more. I know now things I think are a little different. It's not just about paperwork and certification and all that. By the time I finished, you needed to show you can actually fit into the boots, to sit on the table, management table. That was hard. The closest I got to sitting on the management table was organizing all those board meetings and ETCs, but I wanted to sit in. And I think that was really my drive. So when I was a PA to the MD, I had a very good managing director as a boss, and he was South African. And I remember him saying, Rita, you can do more. And just as an encouragement, what I was doing was actually giving me, not just giving me morale, but even my boss then could see she has initiative. So he came to me and said, I think you can do well in safety and health. So for 1 year, I'm going to partner you with the person who was in charge, and it was a lady, and you can do the admin work for her. So if you're familiar with occupational health and safety, there's the legislation you have to meet, there's procedures and policies, and, you have to put in place a system. So I was the secretary, admin person for that department, because that department reported direct to the MD. Within a year, he recommended me to do some courses in South Africa, and I started going to South Africa, and I did a number of the courses, and since 2000 and about 2002, I was just going like 2 weeks a week, 2 weeks a week, and I was able to get a good baseline. But because my organization was also very, very focused on safety and health, and it was a good training ground for me. So finally, I was traveling, I was doing audits, I'm going to South Africa, I'm going to Mombasa, Tanzania, everything that at that age you wish for, you're being sent here and there, all expenses paid. And I was like, okay, not a bad thing. Anyway, so that's how finally I did a career change, because then I loved what I was doing. It was giving me the oomph I needed, and definitely was giving me that opportunity to travel and see the world, in the areas that I could go, and also interact and network with people. So in 2000, about 2000, October of 2000, then I took up the docket as the manager in charge of safety, health, environment, and quality at BOC Kenya. And I have not looked back since then. So years of working, in 2007, I said enough is enough. Now I want to go and manage my own enterprise. And that's how IOSHM Africa was born. So again, I had no clue how to run this business or be an entrepreneur. My parents are entrepreneurs, in farmers and blah, blah, blah. But this was a whole new concept. In fact, many of us, I guess in the late 40s, in the 40s, are running businesses for the first time that they'd never run before. We were all groping in the dark and just hoping that Google and everything else will help us along the way. But then I immersed myself into safety and health, and the one thing that was very clear, and that was just about the post-election violence. What was so clear is that first it will take a long while to stabilize. But then I thought, okay, then I can't give up around that time. And just before then I left, immediately I cleared my MBA and graduated, I enrolled for a master's in safety, health, and environment. I was able to do that because I did a lot of courses in South Africa, and it gave me a lot of exemptions. So my master in safety, health, and environment was a long distance course from a very good university in Australia. It was very intense, but I was able to get good exemptions because of one, my MBA, and two, my experience, and three, the training that I had done in South Africa, because they have very good relationships with South African institutions. So that was pretty easy, very intense. By then I'd had my second born. So you can imagine I have two little ones. That was my second born. My first one was born in 2002, my second born in 2004. And I'm here doing a course and starting a business. And, you'd ask, how did I manage? But I think what I can say along that journey is, and I'll talk about it, is how do you format yourself to be able to place yourself in that kind of environment. So anyway, so my business was starting up, and post-election violence into 2008. I've just come out of a very good job. My mother couldn't believe. In fact, she kept asking, are you serious? The usual. Are you leaving a well-paying job from a multinational to go and suffer? But I was so done. I needed out. So anyway, so I went out and began this company. Luckily, I got a small office. But then I soon realized that when you're in, and especially in a multinational and a very good organization, you have lots of friends. You have a lot of people looking for you. I mean, you'll never miss any opportunity because you're almost on speed dial. The suppliers know you, the customers, you're going for this, that, dinners, travel. You're out there. When I came out, I realized, okay, this is a lonely territory. And even just trying to network and look for people actually don't know you by that time. That's when you realize you really need people. Anyway, so I discovered this organization. It's called the Organization of Women in International Trade, OWIT, and I had a friend there and she invited me and I joined OWIT, and it's an entrepreneurial business networking forum. And we started these meetings, and that's how I entered into the networking phase. And there you meet people just like you, suffering, no money, where do we get money, loans, who's giving you a loan, all those things. But it kind of gives you that energy because you're discussing with people who are the same level as you. And that's what you'll find, that when you're in employment, it's a very good cushion. When you're out there, you really have to seek to be seen, to be felt, you have to be visible. And then you realize as a woman, we are social beings. So I'm running this business and all I have is an employee, and that becomes my networking. So really, that wasn't very interesting. So anyways, I entered into this space, but I soon realized that for me to also network and get into the business, I have to look for avenues that will pretty much a springboard, as you'd call it, into that kind of environment. So I looked for established institutions that would give me that opportunity to train for them. So my organization, we train and we consult in occupational health and safety, environmental management, and food safety, and quality. So why do I do all those? Because in this environment, and I'll call it in the third world, these disciplines are not very, they haven't grown yet. They are growing now, we can see the impact, but even when there's legislation, many people don't comply. And they only comply when, there's a tender at Safaricom, or we need a safety and health policy, and those kinds of things. But because I have a wide, a broad product portfolio, then I'm able to sell at any one time. So what we do training, in-house, we do training wherever. We have short courses, we have long courses, we have the prescribed courses by the government, and occupational health and safety falls under the Ministry of Labor. So it's one of those departments under the Ministry of Labor where NSSF is and all those others. So you probably haven't heard of Department of Occupational Safety and Health. It does exist, and they have offices in every county. So for you to be one of those, then you have to have the knowledge and experience, and then you register, you go for an interview, then you are made an approved trainer. So I had to go through all that process. And then in environment, so the National Environmental Management Authority, you have to be registered. So you should have done a course in environment, had some experience. So I'm a lead expert. I'm an environmental lead expert. So I'm able to do audits, I'm able to train and all those kinds of things. So in the early years, 2008 up until 2011, I was busy training for other people. I do some jobs, but you know how hard it is, for those jobs to come. So I trained for people like SGS Kenya, who are the lead quality management experts. I would train for the Kenya National Cleanup, anybody who's in that line, in that space of mine. And with that, then they'd send me out as what they'd call a temporary trainer. And then I would go speak to the clients, and then I would sell to them now what else I can do. So that's how basically my business has evolved, that I'm able to meet people out there who refer you to word of mouth. Consultancy is not an easy thing. It's very hard when people don't understand your product or your services. It's really word of mouth. So that's basically what I've been doing over the years. Now, in 2011, my third born came calling. That's about almost 7 years from my second born. And of course, that's a game changer. Now you're already in self-employment, you're the everything. You're the CEO, you're the marketer, you're the finance person, you're the doer, so the implementer, the trainer, the consultant. So it was really a game changer for me, because I knew now either I take a break and go and basically have the baby and until she's okay, then I come back, or just continue and know how to continue with it. But interestingly, about 2011, BOC came calling again. Well, not again. Yeah, they came calling and they said, we want you back. And it was a very interesting meeting. There was a change in management. They had a new MD. And she came, she even met me when I was on maternity, and she said, can we have you back? So that was that was about March of 2011. And I'm thinking, really, I just delivered in February. And I'm thinking, really, after 2 years going back into employment, tough. So anyway, so we spoke with my husband, and he said, okay, how are you feeling about it? I thought, okay, at least when you're in employment, you have specific hours, you'll get this assured money at the end of the month, you'll be down. And I said, okay, give me 3 months, I'll report in June. So I reported back, and I went back into employment, June of 2011. But once you're out, and it's a decision that you really have to make, and make very early, and be very sure about it. I went back. Yeah, the money was good, the comfort was good, and all expenses paid. I'm in management. So by the time I left in 2008, I was part of the senior management. So back to it, it comes with its perks and everything, and all those things that are nice and juicy. But within 3 months, I was tired. And I was like, okay, this is not working for me. One, because as a woman, you need your space, there's flexi time, now you have a baby. You've basically tasted the outside world. So you're thinking, okay, I'll sit in meetings and wonder, okay, is my baby okay? And all those kinds of things. But it was a little different because with my first 2 babies, the management then was very lenient. I had a very easy time. I was able to work half day for almost 6 months and all those kinds of things. When I went back in 2011, it was tough. Certainly the economy had changed, management had changed, and I found myself sitting in the office until 8 p.m. So it was a real game changer, that. So within 6 months, I gave my resignation. And of course, my boss couldn't believe. She said, why are you leaving? I said, I can't. I'm so used to being around my kids now. I don't know how to be here. So it took her 3 months to approve my exit. And in 2012, then I exited and went back into my business. Definitely by then, I had to jumpstart my business, my consultancy, and all those kinds of things. And, it wasn't easy, but then it did happen. So I think the question here is, so how have I managed all this year? So 3 babies, the schoolwork, and home, and all those kinds of things. I think this is where, when we talk about work-life balance, it's never a perfect fit. It's how you want to make it as a woman. So when I came back, thank God, my husband is very supportive. So, there were times that were really rough, financially as well. But, we were able to get through them over the period of time. But I think the things that you do during the times that you're able to are what steer you into those waters when you finally get there. So we just invested in our home, and then it was easy for us just to continue with what we had invested earlier. So anyway, so this baby came, and like many of us as mothers know, is that the house help issue is not an easy thing. So I thought, okay, I'll go back into my business, and life will be good. Now, my first 2 kids were brought up by one house girl. My third born, I think I had like 6 by the time I was fed up. So this girl was my handbag. Up to these days, she knows she's my handbag, because I'd go for clients meeting with her. I'd leave her somewhere, maybe in my office, and say, I'm dashing for 1 hour for a meeting, come back. So it's those small things that, make you realize that you can be strong anytime, anywhere. Literally, by the time she was 3.5, I didn't have a girl per se to take care of her. So what I tended to do is work a lot from home, and I was able to, but what I did is reduce my workload. So what I stopped doing now is traveling and going out to train and all those kinds of things, and subcontract more, because I'm able to do that. I don't have to go and train myself. I have good trainers. We just arrange with them, and they go and do what they need to do. So basically, that's how it's been. But I'll tell you for a fact, if I didn't have the knowledge that I sacrificed then, and the reason why, I'll say for myself, why did I go through all that process of getting my master's and ABCD was because I realized where I started from, it was very hard to jump to where I wanted to be. So even now when I put out my CV and somebody says, oh, she's done an MBA, I mean, just doing safety and health in this kind of environment, but that is not easy because people don't understand it. But when they see MBA, they see this, then they are able to, I guess, have more trust in you, see you're more professional. I mean, we're in this country where papers still matter. I don't know, it has changed, but that's exactly what it is. So that's how my life has been. But I have sacrificed a lot in terms of my career. I do know, like when I was working for the multinational, there were so many opportunities that I would have taken up. There were jobs everywhere. I mean, the company I worked for was a British company, headquarters in Germany, and they had opportunities for you to work anywhere around the world. And I remember at one point in time, my boss asking me, well, they did advertise a job that I was really interested in. And I talked to my boss and I said, I want to apply for this job. And my boss would look at you, would look at the your CV application and give a go ahead if they thought you were okay. And my boss called me and said, Rita, are you serious? You now have 2 kids. And he had just come from South Africa with his family. And he said, I can sign you off to go and take up this job. I think it was in Malawi or Zambia or somewhere, but there's a price to pay here. I moved into Kenya with my family, with my wife. She had to stop her job. She doesn't have her family, her parents, and etc. The kids don't have their cousins. Are you ready? And he told me, go and speak with your husband and come and tell me. Anyway, I didn't have to speak to him because I know what I was losing. We have a very neat, very close family. And I knew, wow, going out of this country, this is what I'll be missing. Out there, there's nothing about house helps. They're very expensive. You can't carry the kids immediately. They were now in school. And then I had to just say, it's okay. So yes, having left employment and especially formal employment has a price to pay. But again, has it made me stronger? Yes. And I'll give you an example. I think like last year during the COVID, many of us as entrepreneurs were really hit hard. But it was also a time to reflect. I think we were not hit as hard as many people who are put on half pay, people who are laid off, because we are so used to the very high highs and very low lows. You know, you kind of have to manage yourself in between. It's never like, a smooth road, but it does make you stronger. So for me, I think the question you'd want to ask me, so how do I unwind? Because I'm 247 with my kids. If you see my banner behind there, I'm the president right now of my Rotary Club. But there are things that I made clear from the beginning. If it's going to impact on my family, then I don't do it. The one thing I never did in my employment life, 15 years of employment, I told my employer I'll never go to work on a Saturday. I don't know what your working schedule is like, but that was just me. I said, no, don't call me for any emergency. If it's not a formal working day, I'm not coming. So there was nothing about I must be in the office on Saturday. That was very clear. So even as I became president of my Rotary Club, I told them until my daughter is about 9 years old, she's now turned 10, I'm not going to take up any role that's going to take up my time. And I guess once you're so clear, people understand you, then you're able to do that. So how do I unwind Rotary is very involving. It's been a very involving process, but the good thing is that it has systems and procedures and policies, and you're able to manage that process. It's only 1 year, 12 months. Then you kind of call it quits after that. But of course, being a president, then you kind of move with the flow. Sorry, let me just put the message here. So what else do? I love hiking this year. So this year I turned 50. And the one thing I want to do is to climb Mount Kilimanjaro. So it's not been easy. They've been over the years. I've also had issues with the weight. So I've been working on it, not to go back, especially after my third born. It was really tough, but now I'm trying to work on getting back to the exercise and etc. So I love hiking. I swim. I like dancing. But I can tell you for a fact, I don't have a lot of time on my hands. So in between, there's so many things I've done. I've even trained Sunday school in church. I've done mentorship programs. I've sat on women boards, and I sit on a couple of other boards. But I try and manage my time. I try and manage my time so that I'm able to give. My first priority, I'll tell you for sure, is my family. Anything that will impact anything that I do on my family does not take off from me. Maybe let me pause there and just get some questions. You can unmute yourself. Anastasia, what did you say? Pilau.
I'm just stuck on the weight issue, and I've just had the pilau and I'm struggling with weight. But thank you so much for that. On a more serious question, first off, you and I need to talk about skincare on the side, because your face is not 50. We will talk and see what we need to do.
All right, thank you.
I'm interested because majority of our team is actually in that age when they're probably either just getting married or making the decision to get married. And when you were describing the chronology of your career, I noted that you got married after you had already gotten yourself a car.
Yes.
How does that work? How does it, how do you jump into a relationship and it's a serious relationship when you're also doing very well financially?
Okay, and I do know that was a challenge. I remember my father, typical African father, are you going to get a husband? You're driving. Okay. First of all, I have a very strong mother. Let me just start by saying that she doesn't believe anything should stop anyone from doing anything. So I wasn't even so sure I was gonna get a husband. Let's start there. I wasn't so sure. I was so like, I'm headed there. I don't care if he comes, fine. If he doesn't come, fine. I'm moving. So when I registered for my course in USIU, I knew I'm not going to be living in the Astro area to Thika Road by matatu. I would if I really wanted, I would leave and take the bus that used to stop in town. But somebody just told me, well, I'm tired I'm just about 30. I need a car. So courtesy of then I was in management. Those were some of the perks that we got access to. So in fact, I got the car, and by the time I was dating, my husband didn't have a car. So he keeps enjoying me about it. But I think it's how you want to perceive it. I think now it doesn't really matter. Then it would have been an issue, but I think it depends on who comes into your life at that point in time. They take you with that package, and then it's, as a woman, I think days are gone where you say, oh, it's my car, you can't drive, and blah, 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 blah. No, that didn't happen. So it was an easy transition. He didn't have any qualms about it. He's a lawyer, so I think he also had his ducks quite lined up in a good row. I think he could see the end goal. Yeah. Good. Any other questions?
Yeah, I think that the question I have is about the actual balancing. You're a mother. When you reach home, you remove we had so many hats. You remove the working hat, then you're now in the mother hat, and it has so many things. The home must run well, the nanny, the babies, the arranging of the home. Then when you come back to work, you remove that. You need to be this corporate woman.
Yeah.
So how do we balance without losing it and without going mad?
Yeah. Okay, I think the one thing, and we all battle with that, is delegation. Okay, we must learn to delegate. So let me just go back and say that one of the things that I've always told, especially the younger girls that I talk to, I say, don't enter into a marriage when you have no finances. I mean, it's not, you're not gonna be a beggar for all your life. You got to be doing something. And I've also realized through experiences that men love to see women who can also be independent. The one thing my husband kept telling me is that, you never know what life brings. You could find yourself alone. He sometimes would tell me, you must take the car to the mechanic. And I'm like, oh, this is a man's thing. But I've learned to do all that. But then I purposed to get good help. And good help means that then I chip into the good help because it releases me. Okay, so I'll tell you for a fact, I don't cook because I don't have time. That's the one thing I don't do. I don't cook or have to think about cleaning up and stuff. But I have to invest in that bit. Because first of all, that's not my cup of tea. And two, I do, well, COVID taught us to do everything big. I do when I have to, or when I feel like I need to, but that's not something that I worry about. So invest a lot in how can you delegate. So the one thing then I said, so my daily life is I drop kids every day and I pick kids every day. And my kids leave school at 3:30. And I have 2 girls who do ballet and other dance and blah, blah, blah. So 5 days in my week, I'm picking, dropping, picking again, coming back home. So there's no single day that my life running around and chauffeuring and doesn't end by 7. Okay, every Thursday I have to host a meeting, my Rotary Club meeting at 7 p.m. So how have I managed that? First of all, you have to be selfish a bit. My meetings run based on my availability. Okay, and I'm able to juggle. So a lot of the times I don't do meetings before 9 and I don't do meetings after 3. Because by 3, then I have to be thinking how to go and do drop off. But I'll tell you, between 9 and 3, I am busy, like busy. In fact, a lot of these days I work from home. I don't even go to the office. I don't have employees, full-time employees anymore, but I've learned to kind of delegate and manage my time like that. So Caroline, back to your question, is that I have learned to delegate. I'm not going to do things that are necessary. And because now my last born just turned 10, I mean, the last 2 years, it's been easy with her. But I also work round the clock. I can come do drop-offs, come to the house and then start doing quotations and tenders and meetings and that kind of thing. But I've also invested in a way that I'm able to, like if I go and take my girls for a ballet class or whatever it is, then I have my modem there, or I'm sitting in a place with Wi-Fi. I'm able to kind of just fit in things. By 9, I'm a dead person. So yeah. So and in terms of I think the hardest thing is also especially when you have a partner, you must respect each other's time. I have a kind of husband who says, if you want me to relieve you of some days, give me a week's notice. So I have to respect that. So like tomorrow I have a board meeting of my club. That means then I can't do my after school because our meetings are about 5:30. So I'm like, okay, can you do the pickup or drop off or whatever else? But it's learning to delegate that works.
All right, very well understood, very well understood.
Yes.
Thank you.
Any other question? So let me just share the last, something I just wanted to share with the team. And if you have other questions, just you can, and I'll send this over so that you can send it to the team. So when you talk about work-life balance, does it really exist? And people keep asking that, does it really exist? So this, and I totally concur with these lessons from a survey that was done in Canada amongst professional women. Does it really exist? So first and foremost is that we need to communicate your aspirations. And I'll just draw some of the examples as I go along with this. So communicate your aspirations. So defining both your family and career aspirations, reflecting and revisiting them often, communicating your aspirations to your organization or network, as well as your family. So earlier I said, one of the things that I was so clear about when I was employed full-time is that I never worked over the weekends, because for me, that was the only time I had family, time. And it worked well over the years. Unfortunately, because of the docket I held, which was occupational health and safety, I was really on call 24/7. If there was an accident in the factory, they'd call me, or they'd, find out what they need to do investigations. But they were very clear that it was very clear for them that you don't just uproot Rita when you want to. And when people know that, then they respect that. Next is get an education. And it says an education early in life is critical to achieving career advancement, financial security, and independence. And I'll just tell you for a fact, and I did mention that the fact that I sacrificed to do all those degrees that I did, it's easier for me at many levels, sitting on boards or applying for, for jobs and etc. So it has really helped. And you don't need to be sponsored. I do a lot of courses even now. Right now, I'm doing an online course on just SMEs, because my next level right now, I'm looking at just doing online training. And because I'm also a trainer with ILO. So I've done the Start and Improve Your Business courses with ILO. So I'm able to do, so I'm always doing small courses here and there, just so that, first of all, I'm keeping my brain active. And two, I don't know what life will throw at me. Can I be able to fit in? So especially for the ladies, whether you're battling with work-life balance, please try and just get some courses going. You never know. So like my secretarial course has really helped me. I mean, it was the lowest I probably started at, but everything that I do now, I'm able to do myself. My presentations, my filing, it's just something different. It might have looked then like, okay, why are you doing this? But even managing my own business, it's one of the strengths that I'm proud of. Then be financially prepared for the unexpected. Planning for an emergency before an emergency happens. So one of the things that we've also done as a couple is invested, pension, all those things that we don't think about, just putting in a little money here and there, looking at retirement, investing for emergencies like medical and etc. Very important. So again, as women, and I do know that, we're in chamas, we're in that, and I'm sure, in your institution, you're already encouraging women to do this, but it's very important to have something for a rainy day. Developing business acumen. So seeking opportunities to develop your ability to make sound business judgments. I think right now in the world, in the employment world, people are being encouraged not just to be good employees, but to have some business acumen, thinking of your job like a business. How do you approach your clients? How do you sell yourself, the services of the organization? Because you don't know wherever you'll go after now. When I did safety and health, I actually wasn't thinking that I was going to start a company. I was looking at working with all these big multinationals, the Coca-Colas of this world, the EABLs, because safety and health is big in some of these areas. But I saw that opportunity, and it really did help me to get out and just understand the market. So even as you're in employment, it's good to think of whatever that you do like a business, and that's why you say in business, you start with advertising, making the sale, collection of the money, and you're good to go. So you need to start thinking of the roles. Every role that you do will make a difference into your future. Understand the trade-offs of a career break. I know many of us, especially as young mothers, this is the hardest thing. Do I leave employment? Do I leave this lucrative job? Do I, the one thing that I have always wished is that I wish there were organized, and I know now it's probably going to happen post-COVID, that you can have flexi time, where you can work some hours, have some family time some hours, and be able to do other things some hours. I don't know, but we are hoping that's the future now, especially when you're working online. But consider the long-term financial and skills implications when making the decision to opt out of the labor market. So the one thing my husband encouraged me, even as I was slowing down, is just keep renewing your licenses. So over the years, I've renewed my environment expert certificates, and I still do jobs and sign off reports and sometimes go on into sites, but I have not let go of where I started. I keep myself abreast with what's happening so that I'm not obsolete. And definitely with that, then you start thinking, oh, will I regret? Oh, I won't get this, I won't get loans. Because when you're employed, oh, the world is yours to conquer, you know. Banks look at you, by the time I apply for a loan, they won't be looking at me. It's easier for my employee to get a loan than I can get. So a lot of things look like you'd lose out, but you need to focus on the positive and long-term benefits and outcome of a career. So if you do think that you want some more flexi time and then maybe lose out on some of that income, you have to think about the duration. Is it for life? Is it for, do you want to change career? All those things, but you can't just be thinking how bad it is or feeling guilty about taking that new step. Being confident, taking career and life risks. You must be aware of the self-imposed obstacles that could be holding you back. And then take risks both in career and life to achieve the life that you want. So life is about risk taking, and nobody says it will be greener on the other side. In fact, usually it's more challenging, but you must see the good in that decision that you're going to take. So just being confident and being confident in what you're doing. So it's taken me a long time, because for maybe the last, by 2018, my business wasn't doing well. And every time I said, I'm going to close it. I even looked for somebody an investor who can buy it off. But interestingly, every time I've reached that point of I'm selling it off, business comes. And I remember around 2018, 2019, I sat and said, how come I was so hopeful in the employment world? There are things that I did that were working. I was confident about my next steps, my career and everything. What's happening now? And I'll tell you for a fact that in about 2018, I decided, you know what, I have to maintain that positivity as I go along. And things started looking up. We've actually been busy even during the COVID period. You become wiser, you become stronger, and you start seeing, things in a different light. So it's about taking risks, it's about not giving up, and it's about just doing what you think works for you and running with it. Another thing is find trusted mentors and mentees. So build your network of mentors to help guide and support you and help others develop leadership skills. So, and I love the fact that Mina said you have a girls club. That is very important. I do have groups that we interact with. Now in Rotary, for example, there's a lot of skills training, leadership training, networking, people mentor you. So you must look for that place, whether it's the spiritual aspect, which of course we can never forget, whether it's your career life, whether it's the home balance, you must look for that assistance. Very, very important. And then as women, I think this is not something that, we are short of. Network. You need to think carefully, creatively, and strategically about how you develop and maintain your networks. I think one of the things I must say is that I don't network as much as I should, because I think my plate is full. But the fact that Rotary is my go-to place, then I'm able to interact. There are so many things that we do about the community, and whether it's raising funds, going out to visit projects. That for me is part of my networking. But in terms of friends, I'll tell you that's the one area that has not really worked, because by the time you get here, your friends are your kids, parents, and people you meet in school, but it's a phase. You just have to know where to stop. And hopefully I won't lose out on some of the friends I've met along the way who are not part of my school life. Think about your legacy, identify your legacy earlier, and revisit it often. And use your plan as a guide to achieving your goals. What is it that I want to be remembered for? And always they say, if there's nothing else that you've done in life, for example, when you have kids, they'll be looking at your kids and saying, did you do a good job? Really, that would be the only thing after you're 6 foot under that people will be looking at. How did you live your life? How did you interact? How did you impact on communities? So at the end of the day, is about what do you want to leave behind as a woman? Okay. And I do know that sometimes you can be discouraged for various reasons, but I think what we are saying is that you should never, ever give up. There'll be challenges. I still experience challenges. This morning I had to leave my 17-year-old daughter, or turning 17, because she didn't wake up on time. And I feel so bad about it, but I've woken up enough times. She finally got herself to school, but those are some of the life's hard choices, you know, as parents we have to make. So yes, challenges will always be there, but I think we look on the positive side. And I must thank my family. They've been very, very cooperative. My husband has been very, very cooperative, because if you don't have a supporting partner, a lot of the things that I have done would not have happened to date. So yeah, I try to have a life as well. And I think that's just me. So any questions? Maybe something I need to clarify? The ladies are quiet. Springboard ladies. I can see I have a namesake there. Hi, Rita. Let's see her photo. All right. Any questions?
I think there's just so much you have talked about that we need to reflect upon. We are not usually quiet like this. We are such a noisy bunch. You should have seen us in the morning taking photos and making a lot of noise. But it's...
And that's the opportunity I miss.
Yeah.
You see, now I have nobody to take photos with because I don't have women around me. So yeah, that's good, and kudos to you.
Yeah, so I think that especially the last 10 points that you have, please share with us those 10 points. I think they're really for us to reflect and just see where am I. It's almost like a checklist. You know, where am I with this? Where am I? I think that is so useful for us. I've really appreciated everything you've said, and then that checklist. Yeah.
Yeah. And life is a journey. Yeah, one day at a time.
Yeah, so thank you so much, Rita. I believe, as Kara is saying, we have learned a lot. And the balancing part is actually what most of us or all of us will struggle with if we don't have any guideline or someone we are looking up to. And from Julie says, thank you so much for the talk. We have learned a lot. Monica says, such an inspiring story. It's never too late to learn. So thank you very much, Rita. And thank you for taking your time to just talk to us and to our ladies. I am sure we have drawn so many lessons from your talk. For me, my take home is the 10 points at least for the work-life balance, and to put myself, like, kujiweka mbele and kujipenda. First of all, no stopping for anyone. You know, we usually, as women, we sacrifice a lot for our men, for our children, for our parents, for our siblings. We usually forget ourselves. Kabisa, kabisa. So even when you want to achieve something, you first think, now who will pay for school fees for this, my sibling? Who will do this? Who will go and cook for my husband? Who will look after my children? We are usually the ones who will keep giving, and we forget you cannot withdraw from an empty cup. So we need to keep refilling ourselves and loving ourselves more and putting ourselves, I want to say it in Kiswahili, I don't know if English will come in well, but kujiweka mbele and kujipenda zaidi. Yeah. So that is my take home for me today, because you are a typical woman, Kenyan lady, and you've been able to achieve all this. So it's all about prioritizing and knowing what you want and going for the goal. So we thank you so much for that. I'm not sure if there's anyone else who has a... Jane Karimi says, thanks so much for the talk.
Jane, yeah.
Yes. What advice do you have for single moms?
For single moms.
Yes.
Yeah, and that's a tough one. because it's for you, the balancing is even harder. I think for a single mom, just from the experience I've had from others, is that you must get somebody who can relieve you, for example, and somebody trustworthy. Okay. And I know this is a hard one, is just being able to be at least financially comfortable, because then when you're a single person, it does cost more to maintain, especially a home, to have that kind of assistance that you need. But I think it's about looking for people who you can trust to fit in your schedule. The one thing I know, like me, because I don't have a very close network around me, like where can I leave my child and etc and etc, then that's why I have to beg husband, okay, I have to do this, can you stay home for this day, and da, 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 da. But I think for a single person it's even harder. But I think first and foremost is looking for trusted people to be around you. Not to forget that you also need a life as well, because that can be hard, and never giving up, especially on the financial bit. And one of the things that I'm also encouraging, especially ladies now, is, the internet has become a world of ways to make extra, in case it needs to get there. Just looking for ways to survive so that you also enjoy the life that you want. But it's never, there are many people, those of us who are married, there are many people who are married, but they are operating like single people, because they have to foot every bill or be there just running the home and doing everything that you do. So you're not alone. It does happen even in a married life, but learn to enjoy. And as I think Mina was winding up, is that you need to put yourself first as well, because you cannot get from an empty jug. You have to have something about you that you can be able to share with others. And the one thing I also say is just keep fit in whatever way. I'm not very good at that, but I try to walk, at least if I can't do the gym. Eat right, keep fit, and just be comfortable in yourself.
Thank you, Rita. Jen, I hope you have been answered. I cannot see any other questions, so I hope everyone is good. And if we have any questions, of course, I know you're still open. Yes. So the ones we will not be able to answer within, we will be sending. Yeah.
Yeah, true.
Okay. And for our ending quotes, here is to strong women. May we know them. May we beat them. May we raise them. Happy Women's Day, everyone. And now I think we can now close.
Yes, thank you. Yeah? I've really enjoyed being with you. And I hope to see you again.
We will.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Have a good afternoon.
All right. You too. All right.
Okay.
God bless you.